In a small public school in Nigeria, where children's laughter filled the air each morning, there was a teacher everyone loved. Her name was Miss Kemi. She wasn't rich. She didn't have much. But she carried something far more valuable: a heart full of love for her students. Every morning, she walked to school with books in her arms and a smile on her face. Her classroom was simple: neatly arranged desks, chalkboard on the wall, soft sunlight streaming through the windows. She always arrived early, sweeping the floor and preparing her lessons with care. Among her pupils was a quiet boy named Tunde. He often sat at the back of the class, shy and withdrawn. His uniform was clean but worn, and his eyes carried a sadness that words could not explain. Many teachers had already given up on him, but not Miss Kemi. One morning, she called him to the front of the class to answer a question. He tried but made a mistake. The other children laughed. Miss Kemi raised her hand gently and said, "Don't laugh. Let's help him understand." She stood beside him, showing each step patiently until he got it right. Then she smiled and said, "You see, Tunde? You can do it." That day, something changed inside him. Someone had finally believed in him. From that day on, she began tutoring him after school. Sometimes she shared her lunch with him. Sometimes she bought him new pencils. When other teachers went home, Miss Kemi stayed behind, guiding the children who needed her most. Weeks turned into months. Tunde started to improve. He began answering questions confidently, helping his classmates, and smiling again. He had found his confidence and a reason to dream. Miss Kemi didn't just teach English or mathematics. She taught her pupils kindness, respect, and faith in themselves. She would say, "Even if life feels hard, never stop believing in your own strength." But behind her calm smile, Miss Kemi carried quiet struggles of her own. Her salary was often delayed. Some evenings, she marked papers by candlelight, her dinner still on the stove. Yet she never complained. "These children are my purpose," she would say. "If I don't teach them, who will?" Years passed and Tunde grew up. He completed school, won a scholarship, and went on to university. When he graduated, he looked at his certificate and whispered, "This is for you, Miss Kemi." A few years later, he returned to the same school, now as a teacher. The buildings had been repainted. The playground looked brighter, but the same warmth filled the air. He stepped into Miss Kemi's classroom. She turned and froze in surprise. "Good afternoon, Ma," he said softly. "I came to say thank you, and to tell you I'm now a teacher." Tears filled her eyes. She held his hands and whispered, "My son, you've done well. That's all I ever wanted." In that small classroom stood two teachers, one who planted the seed and one who grew from it. That is the power of a good teacher. They may not have much, but their care, their words, and their patience can transform a life forever. Because in Nigeria, and across the world, a good teacher doesn't just teach. They build the future, one child at a time.